thank you also for joining us online, and thank you so much for coming all the way from Belgrade, from Novi Sad. We are very, very happy to have this panel here tonight on the student protests in Serbia. We feel really honored that you come here to our place, and we'd like to thank the organizers too. Monika Bernold will soon speak the introduction. Just let me comment on the live stream. Visible, like on the cameras, only the panel will be filmed, but everything which is spoken into the microphones is recorded, and which is great for the audience at home to follow. But if you don't want to be recorded, you can speak without microphone. So I'll pass the word.
If anybody in the audience objects to the picture being taken, let me know now or privately, and I will not do so at all.
Okay, so I'll pass the microphone to Monika Bernold, one of the organizers of the Attention Days. Days of Attention Days. And I'd suggest we welcome this event, this panel tonight here at the pool.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hello and good evening to all of you. We are very happy that you all came tonight to join this evening with the panel discussion with our guests. And I want to welcome you, especially our guests on the panel. Tonight, the panel topic that we will talk about is rethinking politics, student protests in Serbia, and we will talk and discuss with you and welcome you very much. I want to say the names: Natalija Petrović, Davud, Delimeđac, nearly, and Tatjana Rašić. Yeah. Bravo. Yes, and we also welcome very much Tamara Cvetković from Central European University, who will moderate the whole panel discussion. We are a group of researchers. I always talk about we. Who are we? We are a group of researchers found together, students, lecturers, researchers of the Faculty of History and Cultural Studies at the University of Vienna. And I want to introduce our team in the alphabetical order. So my name, you heard already, is Monika Bernold. And I'm part of this really wonderful team. Christoph Beitel, please, where are you? Yeah. Friedrich Kein, he's standing behind here. Pauline Garatz, where is she? Yeah, here in the front. Per Horn, here directly. Ditlin Tüchtger in the first row. Claudia Kraft, she is not here tonight, she's in Munich, but she is with us in a different way, and you will see the digital version tomorrow, probably. Sophie Laurent in the first row, and Hanna Salentinik. Where is she? I saw her. Yeah. So you see, we're a great team, and thank you to all. Thank all of you. We are happy that we are here tonight, and we want actually, with Days of Attention, raise awareness for the protest movement in Serbia and for the courageous and really special protest movement among the Austrian and European public. With Days of Attention, we are following up on an open letter initiated by myself and members of the Department of Contemporary History in October 2025, in which solidarity with the students in Serbia was expressed 1 year after the catastrophe in Novi Sad. I want to tell you, please have a look. I don't want to say Google, but have a look. Days of Attention. Then you will come directly to our homepage, where you find the letter and all further informations also you can get there. The morning following the railway station rooftop collapse in Novi Sad, 1st September 2024, when 16 human beings died, this morning transformed in something else, as Olja Stefanovic put it on Monday. Morning transformed into protest because the collapse of the station in Novi Sad was a symptom of the system of corruption. The artist and cultural theorist Olja Stefanovic held on Monday the opening event of Days of Attention with a performative talk at the Academy of Fine Arts under the title For Freedom, Fight Against Corruption, Students and State Violence in Serbia. Full house, I can tell you, or some of you were there, full house, great discussions, and good networking on Monday evening. I want to thank Ruth Sonderenker and Noit Banai. They are not here tonight at the Art Theory and Cultural Studies Department at the Academy of Fine Arts that made this cooperation possible. Yesterday we enjoyed the Red Vienna City Walk with our student guests. I hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. A lot of thanks in this moment to the historian Peter Eigner, who taught us about the Ringstraße des Proletariats yesterday morning. So, of course, it's interesting also this question of links to historical traces, probably, of different ideas of change. Yesterday in the evening, the philosopher Adriana Zahariević, she's not here, from the Institute for Philosophy and Social Theory at the University of Belgrade, gave the Dubravka Ugrešić lecture on the post-socialist feminism, and Adriana managed it wonderfully to integrate the present political questions into her very sophisticated and complex, inspiring thinking on post-socialist feminisms and its future. The Dubravka Ugrešić lecture was a cooperation of Gender Studies Department of the Central European University and the research project of Harry C., History of Feminist Political Thought and Women's Rights Discourses in Central Europe, 1929 to 2001, a very fascinating project by Sophie Laurent. A lot of people, also yesterday night, and very good discussions at the University of Vienna. I will also mention that in May 4th, the Days of Attention will move on with an open seminar held by Tatjana Nikolic, Andrea Glauser, at the Institute for Cultural Management at the University of Music and Performing Arts in Vienna. Special thanks to Dagmar Abwalter and Tatjana Nikolic, as well as Dagmar Klauser, that they will enrich Days of Attention with their seminar on cultural workers and suppression in Serbia. For June, we plan a pocket guide. Friedrich, probably you say 2 words to these plans in June. For me, I want to say it was a very good experience to work together with colleagues from different universities in Vienna and to try to collaborate for these Days of Attention. This is something which is not all the time the case, that so different universities connect and cooperate in this way. Please, if you are here from other universities or institutions, feel warmly welcomed to join further cooperations in this work on getting awareness for the protest movement. Finally, I'm coming to an end. I want to say, with Days of Attention, with the World Cafe this afternoon, and with the panel discussion tonight, we take the student protests as a vantage point for discussions on their broader political implications. I think this is very important to connect the protests, it's for us a very important point to connect the protests in Serbia to different political movements and different political fights in civic engagement for democracy and against authoritarian and fascist movements all around. And we stay also in discussion and with love in discussion. Yeah, thank you. I give Friedrich the micro.
Yeah, thanks, Monica. You said so much. I only want to add very briefly the thanks that are due, mostly to for funding. So the University of Vienna, and specifically the Faculty of Historical and Cultural Studies that has already been mentioned. Then the ERC project, Heresy, by Zsofia Lorand, chaired by her, and then at the Faculty Center for Transdisciplinary Historical Cultural Studies, and there very specifically, again, the working group on historical transregional studies, and also thanks go to the Institute for Contemporary History for hosting our website. If you're interested in that website and want to read about what already happened and will still happen, find the QR code on the tiny poster that you've on the left-hand side if you leave this room in the end. Yes, and without further ado, I give word to Tamara Cvetković from CEU, where she's pursuing a PhD in comparative gender studies, and who will now have, whom we are honored to have to chair this discussion tonight.
Thank you very much, Friedrich. So, good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to see so many of you here. It is my great pleasure and honor to have 3 brave students here. I think we have a privilege to talk with them and to learn something from them. This evening, I will talk with them for some time, and then please later join me for the discussion. We will open the floor for the discussion. Here with me is Davud Delimeđac from the Faculty of Political Science in Belgrade. His colleague Mila Jovanović was supposed to be here, but unfortunately she couldn't come. So Davud, you will be representative of Belgrade students here. And we have Natalija Petrović and Tatjana Rašić from Novi Sad, okay, yeah, but from Faculty of Philosophy in Novi Sad. They're studying communicology, and they're also journalists for Blokada Info. We will talk about that later. So now for the beginning, let's start with some general information about political situation in Serbia. Maybe you can provide a little bit of context, what is going on, how protests started, how student movement started actually, what were the reasons, and then maybe slowly we can move on to, let's say, practical advice, how to organize, how to do activism. So yeah, please, who wants to start?
Hello, okay. Hello everyone, I am Natalija. As Tamara said, I study communicology and public relations at the Faculty of Philosophy in Novi Sad. I'm honored to be here, and when it comes to our fight, when it comes to the blockades in Serbia, our faculty was the first one that was blocked in Novi Sad, and it happened in a very peculiar way. A group of activists that are currently in exile, and half of them were in jail and house arrest for 7 months, but we will get there. We planned the faculty blockade a day before it happened, and it was the faculty day, so there was no there were no classes that day, and we came in with a megaphone and we were like, this faculty is blocked. Our demands are, we want the full documentation of the, for the reconstruction of the railway station in Novi Sad. We want the Prime Minister and our mayor to quit, and a few more. I think we later, during plenary sessions or plenums, we
added the demands
and like had concrete pojašnjenja, explanations of them. Thank you. I think like half of the room will understand me when I say it in Serbian. Yeah, so how it actually all started, the canopy fell on the 1st of November of 2024 at 11:52 a.m. A.m. And it killed then 14 people, and then later another 2 people died. As a reaction to that?
Actually, I just need to add to what you're saying. It was reconstructed a few months before, and actually, how we see it, the opening of the railway station was early because of the campaign that was.
It was actually opened 2 times, and once Orban, who is no longer with us, was our guest, if I remember well, when it was opened the 2nd time or the 1st time, I'm not sure, but yeah, it was the pride of the campaign of our president's party, and then the canopy fell, and it fell because it wasn't reconstructed well, and actually the first reaction of the regime was lies. They said that the whole railway station was reconstructed and only the canopy wasn't. And at that moment, we as activists started exposing them on social media, and we said, hey, that's a lie, look. And we found outlets online that were talking about the reconstruction, and then they started deleting those articles from the internet.
They literally changed the news. It was edited. You can see on the website, edited like a few minutes ago, the news.
So we felt like we were living the 1984 by George Orwell, literally. And it just sparked a reaction. The first few days we grieved a lot.
We still do.
We still do. But after that, we just felt a need to organize, and on the 5th of November happened the biggest then protest in Novi Sad that was violent. The city hall was destroyed, and after that there were a series of protests all around Serbia, and the first faculty was blocked in Belgrade. It's the Faculty of Drama Arts, and it was because why the timestamp 11:52 is important for us, because we started holding vigils out on the street at 11:52, and we were standing there blocking the road in silence first for 14 minutes, then for 15, and then for 16 after the 16th victim died. So what happened was that the students of the Faculty of Drama Arts were holding a vigil, and people who were paid by the regime started attacking them and started telling them hilarious stories about why they need to pass on that road because their grandma needs to go to the hospital, and their grandma is pregnant and needs to go to the kindergarten. And then it became a joke, but they were physically attacked. And 3 days later, they decided that they will block their faculty, and that's how it all started. I think our faculty was the 3rd blocked one in the country, I think. And then it was just a domino effect after that, just a spark of solidarity and the need to react to what is going on. Because under that canopy, the railway station was built in the 1960s, and it's the heart of Novi Sad. I was at the railway station 2 hours before the canopy fell. And it could have been me. And that's the way everyone felt. And it was just, a thing that got people to realize that, okay, now this is enough and we need to do something. And unfortunately, it needed to be a tragedy.
We literally looked above our heads for days and months, and we still do, when we pass through institutions or public places like railway stations or something like that. But I just wanted to add that you did it perfectly. You answered the question really briefly, great. I just need to add that I think that emotion is really the power for all of this. Grief and then anger, and everything they do is just provoking the emotion that leads us towards organizing. I think that's important too.
Shall we talk about organizing now? Because today we had a like a workshop when we learned about grassroots democracy, right? We wanted to ask you about grassroots democracy, and then you said we didn't even know what that means, but then we realized that we are doing it. So maybe can you give us advice how to organize? So on one hand we have this very violent authoritarian regime, and on other side there are young people who demand democratic processes. So give us practical advice. Maybe Davud could start with that, and then later you two can join.
Yeah, that's my topics.
Yeah, please.
I'm the student of political science here. Thank you for inviting. It's my first time in Vienna, and I'm really enjoying. And I'm really glad to be here and talk about all these really important topics for us. And thank you all for coming. And we talk a lot these days about grassroots democracy, and I will try to answer on this question. I think the success of grassroots democracy mainly depends on how ready people are to organize themselves as equal participants, and how willing they are to be actively involved and express democratic values through continuous action. Because without that willingness to turn ideas into practice, nothing really happens. For me, activism is the link between people and real change. It starts when people begin to notice problem more actively, and this happens often enough that they start to believe their action can actually make a difference. That's the moment when you reach a critical mass of the people who are ready to act and participate. We saw this with the student protest. At the beginning, it was small, just people organized within their own faculties, but then it grew, and step by step, it became more structured and more effective, with different faculties building collaborative networks. When the process starts to involve more and more people, all motivated and willing to participate, the key challenge is balance. You don't want overly complex process because everything becomes slow and people lose interest. But at the same time, you need some structure and collaboration, otherwise it turns into chaos. For us, things like plenums and working groups really helped. For those who don't know, plenums were weekly, sometimes even daily meetings where ideas were presented, discussed, and voted on without representatives. Everyone had the right to vote. Plenums become the core of direct democracy, and that was the key for the movement to grow instead of the losing momentum. Another important thing is constant motivation. In the big groups, it's easy for the people to disconnect, especially when things feel too big, too complex, and too abstract. So it was crucial that everyone could participate in some way, so they feel involved and feel like they have a role that actually matters. Also, in that flat organization, like a student movement, one of the most important things is accepting different views, beliefs, and opinions all the time. Everyone needs to have the right to be heard as an equal contributor And of course, communication matters a lot. If you want to reach more people, you need to use everything. Direct interaction, social medias, public discussion, events. And the connect needs to be simple, clear, and engaging so people can easily connect to it. So yeah, for me, these are the main things. Organization, participation, structure without too much bureaucracy, and constant communication. That's what makes grassroots democracy actually work.
Thank you so much. I think we have several interesting things here. Like especially now, I'm interested in your comments because you're communicologists, right? So, can you tell us about communication and what are the most important things in organizing for you?
Well, thank you, Davud. This was very analytical, and it's actually good that you wrote that down because many things I personally would forget to say. For example, it is weekly and stuff like that. It is interesting that most of those things are at the same time pros and cons of direct democracy. Everyone can say anything, but everyone can say anything. You need to listen to all that, to analyze it, to have your opinion, and that's the good thing. Everything someone else says, you have a right to agree or not agree. But for me, it was interesting what you said at the beginning, when you mentioned grassroots democracy and violent regime, and at the same time, young people, students who who feel the need for democracy. And I think that's actually two bases for what's happening in Serbia. At the same time, you have violent regime who actually provokes the emotion in society, not only students. And then when something happens, you feel the need to go out. Not to ask anyone, should I go out now? Or who's going to organize us now to go out? You know where something happened. You know that it's SNS is guilty. And then you go to their premises in Novi Sad or anywhere, and you have the reference of whose guilt it is. And then on the other side, you have already organized groups, not only students such as plenums, but then we have zborovi, which is assemblies, of the civic society, the smallest local civic society. They organized themselves on the level of the building or the neighborhood. And then they bring their own decisions from what we want from our country tomorrow to should we put the containers here or there. So I think that's great, even though some of the decisions were just unuseful, if I may say so. And there actually were a lot of problems until we realized how to organize and how to make it work. You mentioned bureaucracy. At some point, it was very much big of a problem because we are not used to it, at least not the bureaucracy that actually functions. So I think that's maybe the interesting point of view where you have two separate ways to go to. The organized one, you have a meeting of zbor or plenum at 7 o'clock tonight, or something happened, we are going on the street. We had people who go on the plenums regularly. They have their thoughts, they are involved in voting and everything, but you never see them on the streets. So maybe that's interesting to think about.
Thank you. Natalia, would you like to add something?
Oh, of course. But those are just people with, they are different capacities for things. So there are people who are for bureaucracy. I'm not that person. So we need everyone, basically. What I wanted to say about organizing on the faculties is we were able to do that because we lived on the faculties. They were blocked. There were no classes. And the day that we blocked our faculties, citizens from our city and from the places around Novi Sad, for example, they came and brought us food. They brought us mattresses. They brought us money. Yeah, we have each faculty has their like register. We do have like money. So everyone needed a way to feel involved and to feel like they were a part of our movement and a part of our fight, because they connected to our values and connected to our goal. That was, we want a country where we feel safe, where we are not afraid of something falling on our head and us dying on a random day because someone is corrupt and wanted to be rich and not care for other people. Basically, that is it in the simplest of words. So our values were we weren't
inclusive.
We were inclusive. We were very inclusive. Yeah.
Values were inclusive.
Yeah, our values were inclusive, and we didn't like look at ideologies. No, this is like the most basic thing. Like, we want the right to live.
Ideological minimum.
And that's why everyone, a lot of people started helping us, and that's how the assemblies came to be. So basically, assemblies are a constitutional right, but real assemblies actually just decide on neighborhood problems. But students used assemblies as a way of telling people, okay, it was enough that you everyone, it became a habit. Of course, something happens, we react, we go to the street. And everyone started waiting for, what are the students going to say? Are we reacting to this? Are we going to the street? What is happening? And so it was a lot of pressure and a lot of responsibility on our movement. At one moment, it was too much, and then we were like, okay, citizens, you are grown people. We know we are young, we know we are the future and everything, but you need to take the power of deciding into your own hands now and see what it's like for us. And assemblies basically are organized in the same way as the student movement. They have work groups, they have meetings, and it's been a lot of help, and they still exist. Everything still exists. Even though the faculties aren't blocked for months now, the student movement still exists. We are working a lot, trust us. A lot of us do not have free time, even though normal life has been going on for a lot of time. But this was really a lifestyle change. From the day it happened, from the day it has begun, and from the day that we started living on the faculty, having breakfast, sleeping there, having plenums, having meetings, going out to protest, and then it changed. Then we didn't go to sleep on the faculties as much. Some people did, some people did not. Now the faculties aren't blocked anymore, but we still exist and we still work a lot.
And it was emotionally devastating.
Thank you so much for this. I mean, I was about to ask you some of this, like how, and when we were preparing for this meeting, Natalija, you told me that student movement has become a part of everyday life. So now we see that, like, actually you influence citizens. But I'm also interested in other things that are happening within society. So you are working with this Blokada info. How do you communicate with different social groups? You told me that the effects of student protests are still ongoing, right? And then we are preparing for parliamentary elections and so on. How do you see your role now? And maybe we can also mention some. I mean, there were a lot of negative things going on during blocking universities and during your protests. So maybe now we can also turn to people who are in exile and what happened to them. So yeah, I'm just interested in like your life out of the universities and communication with different social groups.
That's for us, Blokada Info. Okay, first of all, maybe someone does not know, Blokada Info is a student media, student television, live streaming program / everything that. Yeah. Actually, we started live streaming on one of the biggest protests in Novi Sad on February the 1st last year. And that live stream lasted 26 hours, 24 hours, but the protest lasted 26 hours. February the 2nd, 1st. So have in mind it was winter, it was cold, just to exaggerate how brave and unbeatable we are. But let me get to the question. I'm sorry.
I had so many questions.
Groups.
I apologize.
Yeah. My bachelor thesis was actually how different social groups express themselves on the protests. I analyzed actually transparency and what was written on them. So what I found out is actually that social groups keep each other. And they communicate among each other, but they have really good connections between social groups. And if you look the transparency, which I analyzed, they have like eternal jokes. They use their own language, which other social groups do not understand. If you see like IT Blokada, which is IT sector blockade, they had protests and they had transparency, which I do not understand at all. And I showed them to my friend who studies IT, and she laughed, this is so good. So I think that is also important. Social groups communicate in those social groups very good, understanding each other in their own language. But then you have connecting with other groups through the channels of togetherness, which we talked about earlier today, meaning Pumpai or other slogans of the group, the student movement and citizen movement. So they connect those slogans, some basic, which you mentioned, basic, what I said, minimal ideologies, with their own ideologies, values, language, and everything in their group. So that was maybe interesting to me. As Blokada Info, I'm not sure what should I say on this topic. As Blokada Info, besides that it's really important to have and support your small media, small free media, because that if in times of crisis, that's the only place where you get the information that is not influenced by some people.
Thank you so much for that. Natalija, please.
Yeah, well, we have a huge problem with media in Serbia, and they are mostly pro-regime, and they are trying to shut down the biggest and the independent, most professional media outlet and one. So we are, very worried about that. But yeah, Blokada Info functions without an editor-in-chief. So we function the same way as grassroots democracy or whatever buzzword. But we do not have anyone in charge. We all make decisions together. We became, very loved in the movement, and everyone is like, is Blokada Info gonna be there? Because people turn to us as a way of getting informed in a journalistic, not a PR way, because we are journalists. That's what we try to keep, because you have all of the blockade profiles, and we talked about how Instagram became the second most important outlet for information during the last year. The first one is TV, and so social media for us is extremely important, and that is usually what happens in autocratic regimes when you use the when you lose the free media, you turn to social media, which is also dangerous in other ways, but okay, this is the communications in me talking. So we try to remain professional, and even though there is like a conflict of interest, because we are in the student movement and we are journalists, but we exist, I don't know, we just work, and people have a habit. They know that we are going to be there. We are going either to live stream it, or we use social media. If you type on Instagram blokada.info, you will see we have like 40,000 followers, which is a lot for Serbia. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about Binfo. But I wanted to turn and talk about the repression that we've been living through all of these months, more than a year now, a year and a half, I don't know. Time does not exist anymore for us. We feel like we've lived 7 years in this like year and a half because of everything. Like some days were so intense, I do not even remember them anymore. But that is a level of repression that you would never say is happening 4 hours from you. We are just a couple 100 kilometers away from you. We're not in Africa. We're not in Latin America. We're not a third world country. We are in Europe. And we are targeted on the national televisions. We are being called terrorists, blockaders. We are fascist Ustašas. We are being targeted with our face, our names. Our families are being targeted.
Addresses where we live.
Our families, people from our families lose their jobs because they are supporting the student movement. When we go out on the street, there is a big chance that we are going to be beat up, even though I'm a girl, even though the women are usually in the front row at the protest. They get beat up by the police. I have drank so much tear gas in the last year that I don't know how many milliliters that would be. And during one night that is particularly traumatic for us, the 5th of September in Novi Sad, when the police came into the rectorate, and there was a lot of police and a lot of tear gas, and it was just an awful day. Some scientists from some faculty of natural sciences actually tested the tear gas because they left the bottles, and it turned out to be CN gas that is forbidden because it's warfare, and it was forbidden. Basically? Yeah, weapon, and it was forbidden in the 20th century. And we had to breathe because we were there. And actually on Blokada Info, you can read my article. No, but really, I investigated about it, and there were some deaths that happened because of using CN gas on protests during the last century. It was extremely dangerous, and that is just a part of what we've been living through for more than a year. And then we come to my friends, my activists, activists of STAV, which is Students Against Authoritarian Regimes. So basically, they were talking, they had a meeting, and they were talking about some ideas about what could happen on the biggest protest ever in Belgrade, 15th of March, when there were, some say 200, some say 800, some say 1 million people, 800,000, 200,000. And well, our security, how do I?
National security, maybe, or
National Security Agency illegally recorded their meeting, broadcasted it on national television, on like 5 or 6 outlets at once. 6 of them were at that time in Croatia on some seminar. The rest were in Serbia. They were arrested a day before the protest, and they were charged with breaking the constitutional order. And the sentence for that is like 15 years in prison. 6 of my friends have not returned to Serbia since then. 4 of them have been living in Croatia, in Zagreb. Mila, a girl who is extremely brave, who I think without her, I don't know if we could have made it this far. She was always the loudest, the bravest one in the front row. And she was the most targeted one because she is a loud, brave young woman speaking against authoritarian regimes. She is currently in Slovenia, I think, and another activist is in Germany, if I'm correct. The rest of them, so there were 12 of them, and we call them the Novi Sad 12. The rest of them were in jail for, I think, for 3 months in disastrous conditions. We blocked the building of our court for 2 weeks. Every day we were sleeping in front of the court. We did not allow anyone to get in. Police came each day at 5 a.m. and they beat us and they tried to make us go away. We did not go away. After those 2 weeks, they let first the 3 of them and then the rest from jail to go to house arrest. They remained in house arrest for 4 or 5 more months. Now they are being charged still, so we are waiting for those court dates. And they aren't the only ones. Recently, we had 2 people from Novi Pazar, Nikola and Hamza, who were in jail for nothing. So there is not a legal, so the evidence, the audio recording was recorded illegally. They did not say anything. It was all speculation, and they were saying things that you could hear in a random pub in Serbia. Everyone was thinking that. But they were the ones recorded, they were the ones targeted, and then that made us afraid of what we were going to say. That's what they want. That's what the regime wants. For us to be afraid to say what we're thinking, but that did not stop us, obviously. So about one of the activists, Lazar, our colleague from faculty, he is now doing a master's in cultural science, or I don't know. Communications, yeah, but he finished cultural science, doesn't matter. He was, we had local elections that were kind of important, like 2 weeks ago. They tried to kill him. They beat him up. 10 men who we now know who they are. They beat him so bad. They kicked him until he was unconscious. They wanted him to say that Aca, nickname for Aleksandar, aka Aleksandar Vučić, our president, that Aca is the president, and then they threw him by the river. They broke his this bone. Cheekbone. They broke his cheekbone and he was operated a few days ago. He is now well. But they tried to kill him because he was there, and he was there as a journalist. So that's what we're still dealing with, even though so much time has passed. The repression is, I think, getting harder and harder, and now people are a bit tired. I am tired. I'm so tired, guys. But we have to, there is no back. But we still, see all of those things on a daily basis, those devastating news that all of the things that's happening all around Serbia. And I just remembered, so I wanted to say, during the faculty blockades, we had psychological support groups, which is really important. If you ever want to do what we're doing, get that, go to a therapist, you will need it. But yeah, we did, that is something that is, I think, different to the protests, the student movements before. We had ones in Croatia in 2009, in Serbia in the 2000s. We had faculty blockades in '96. And we just have to keep up with the time. And we do not, we endure so much. But if we can help ourselves with psychological support or anything else, why wouldn't we? Because it's taboo. It's not taboo for our generation. So we will do what is authentic to us. And when it comes to organizing, we did use the blockade cookbook that was written by the Croats in 2009, but they were inspired for their blockade by our blockades like a decade before. It did help us, but we did change it up so it works for us. And there is no copy pasting. There is just trial and error. And now, for example, the Novi Sad University is organized completely differently than in the beginning. So you really need to try and to fail and to see what works if you want things to move on. You need evaluation, basically.
Thank you so much. Are you about to say something?
I just wanted to say this was a roller coaster for me, just now listening to her, because I'm reliving it in my head. And I just wanted to add that moments like when you mentioned the blockade of the court, which lasted for 2 weeks. Imagine 2 weeks. Every day I wake up before I have to go to work. So it's like 5 a.m. I go to the court, I fight the police, I go to my work.
On a
everything
bicycle.
is on a bicycle, everything is okay, and then again tomorrow and again for 2 weeks, and then they say they release them to house arrest. Imagine the feeling of victory. Those are so small moments, such little moments, but they mean so much to us.
But then you remember that house arrest is not freedom.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going from jail to house arrest. Woo, no. You're still not free.
I mean, I mentioned at the beginning that you are extremely brave, and you said, well, but now when we hear your stories, actually, I think this is more than human brave, and I really, I think we should all have a lot of respect for that. Natalija, you mentioned some previous protests. You mentioned some sources of inspiration that you had, like this cookbook, right? From Croatia. I wanted to ask you, and maybe Davud, we can start with you, about your relationship with some previous legacies, Serbian protests from the 90s, peace movement maybe. Is that useful for you? Did you have any sort of, what kind of relationship do you have with protest legacies in general?
Yeah, I just have to add, we heard a lot of things about our organization and how Blockade starts, and a story, all of this story is really emotional for us. I was there in Novi Sad when Canopy collapsed with Mila, and she is now in exile in Croatia. We feel all these things in our skin, and I mentioned topics about our history and about our background and how all of these things happened in this moment in Serbia. And I think it's really important to say a few words about how our history influenced us on Gen Z generation in Serbia. We need to understand what happened in Serbia in the 1990s. We had very bad wars in Yugoslavia. Back then it was all one country, you probably know. Those wars changed everything. And after that we had heavy sanctions. We lived under an authoritarian regime led by Slobodan Milošević. The country was isolated, people couldn't travel much, and everyday life became very difficult. At the same time, the economy was collapsed, manufacturers stopped working, employment was high, and a lot of people struggled just to live normally. There was also with the social crisis, institutions were weak, and the trust in the system started to fall already in that period. But what is the important is that even in that situation, people resist. In the 1990s, especially in 1996 and 1997, we had large student protests. My parents' generation was on the street. Students were protesting against the regime, asking for fair elections and more freedom. They were in the contact with opposition, while political parties were organized in parallel. The pressure over the time contributed to the political change we saw on the October 5th, 2000. So there is already a strong tradition of student activism in Serbia. Students were not just observed, they were active political actors. But after 2000, things did not develop in the way many people expect. Formally, Serbia moved toward democracy. We got new institutions, elections became regular, and there was an idea that the system would stabilize. However, in reality, the transition was slow and incomplete. Economy and the shifts from socialism to the market economy had already started at the 1990s, but it continued after 2000 in a very uneven way. Many people lost jobs, unequal increased, and a lot of social security disappeared. Political institutions exist, but they were often weak or captured. Trust in them remained low. Social, there was a feeling of instability, like the system exists, but doesn't not really work for ordinary people. So we, as a generation, grew up in that kind of environment. We didn't expect that, we didn't experience the war directly, but we grew up with their consequence through our families, through economies, insecure, and through a political system that never fully stabilized. Because of that, when we look at today's situation, we see many of the same patterns. There is still a gap between formal democracy and how people actually experience the system in everyday life. And this is where the current student movement comes in. It's not just about the issue. It's more about general feelings that the system is not functioning properly and that institutional channels are not enough. At the same time, the movement has a clear connection to the past. The protests from the 1996 are an important reference points. They show the students can organize, that they can mobilize, and that they can have political influence. But they also show something else, that even large protests do not automatically lead to deep, long-term change. And I think our generation is aware of that. So maybe there is less idealism today, but more reflections. We are not just repairing the past, we are also thinking about its limits. In that sense, this movement is both and continuous and something new. It continues a tradition of student activism and resistance. But at the same time, it comes from the different position, from a generation that grew up in an unfinished transition with less trust and more skepticism. So if I had to summarize, the current student movement in the Serbia is shaped by three main things: the legacy of the 1990s, the experience of incompletely transition after 2000s, and the influence of early student protests. And because of all of that, what we see today, it's not an isolated moment, but the part of longer historical process.
Thank you so much. We are slowly running out of time, so I wanted to ask you one more thing before we turn to the audience and include them into this conversation. So we briefly mentioned historical context and the past, we talked about present, and I'm interested in two things now. How do you see the future of the movement? How do you not predict, but like what you hope for? And also I'm interested in your personal motivation. So how have you changed during this process, and what do you expect for the future from your personal perspective? So maybe we can start with you, Tatjana, if you don't mind. I think we would also like to hear about...
bright.
We would also like to hear about your podcast.
Okay.
And I mean, now when we are speaking about personal motivations, right? You don't have to, but like, I would really like to hear.
Well, thank you for the question, because I think that among all the stuff, all the things that we have said, personal motivation is always the hidden thing that we don't count on, but it's really weird thing. I think we were talking about it yesterday. I say everyone has their own boundaries. My grandpa was a Vučić fan until he noticed that Novak Djokovic is not being played on the public service. What is happening? Because Novak supported students, and after he supported students, you cannot see his matches on public service. So that's when my grandpa said, aha, nothing about I'm fighting on the street with the police and everything. No, 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 no. So it's really individual. My personal motives are actually staying in Serbia, staying with my family, because I am personally very connected to my family. I have very much younger sisters, so it is basic. I want to stay with my family, and I want to live in my country. I think that Serbia is very rich, very beautiful country with a lot of potential, historical one, traditional one. The nature is beautiful, and I do not feel the need to leave the country as it is. But I feel the need to leave the country as it is now with this regime. So I think that's maybe my personal perspective. I would like to live in a country where I can work maybe one, not three jobs like I'm doing now, where I can, with that one job, maybe buy an apartment someday, or car, or just, you know, anything and not think about money all the time. We are very poor now when you think about economy. So it is back to basics when I think about my personal motives. But then you have motives like Lazar or Mila or our colleagues that are in exile. And then I think, yes, I want to see Dorotea or Bane or Mila tomorrow at Novi Sad. I want to drink coffee with them on daily basis. Those are my friends. So that is maybe not back to basis. As for the future, that is maybe something where what I want and what is going to happen is maybe two different things, or what I imagine. Because we maybe are imagining some kind of utopia. I do not know. These days we are here in Vienna, and this is not my first time, but every time I'm here, for every little thing I'm like, oh, you see, that can be done. And I'm sure this is also not a utopia. Today we were talking about motives and why would some other students in some other countries do the same thing. And Adriana, who had a lecture yesterday, she said, find the rock in your shoe. what is wrong here? What is wrong? Nobody's grass is the greenest, right? So that is maybe something that we are looking for. And then the reality is our economy is devastated, our country is devastated. They stole everything, they sold our country, they sold our land. We have no water to drink, we have no air to breathe. And I'm not exaggerating, it's always, we're always red on the air map. Literally, we all have in our houses the filters for the tap water. In Zrenjanin, which is not that small town in Serbia, they do not have technical water, so they cannot cook, they cannot bath with that water.
And you can light their water on fire. You can find it online, that video. Yeah.
I mean, that's reality. So we're not asking for, I don't know what, we just want basic things. And we're still not sure if that can be, it can be done, but not tomorrow. Even though I think we will talk about the elections, maybe I should actually look to the closest, nearest possible thing, which is elections.
Yeah, you can say about it if you want.
Yeah, so we are waiting for the President Aleksandar Vučić to call out the elections. It's weird that he's not doing it because in the past times he always did it. You want the elections? Okay, we will call out 3 elections in a row. And now I suppose his statistics are not that good as they were in the past years, so he is not doing it yet, but we are preparing for the elections, and that's the main focus. So as we did from the beginning, we are going step by step. The next step is parliamentary elections. We are making the list, we are organizing people, we are mobilizing, we're posmatrači, kako se kaže? Yes, we're training the observers, we're making media campaign, organizing in that matter. So let's talk real.
Great, thanks. Natalia, would you like to add?
Well, yeah, when it comes to the future of the student movement, I hope when we win the elections, we will stop existing in this nature and we will start, we will, we are making the student list that is not made of students like it was in the 2000s. It's made of experts, and each faculty has a certain number of candidates that they are voting out. And then there's an algorithm that's made which place in the 250 candidates will be filled by which candidate of which faculty. I don't know. I am I'm not into maths and stuff like that, but some smart students made it. And we are doing all of this with the help of our professors, of experts in their fields. So we are istina. Opa. So when it comes to that, I have talked to my friends from the movement, and yeah, they said that we all hope we will stop doing this when we win the elections. And I really think we will win the elections because we saw the local elections 2 weeks ago in 10 municipalities. And yeah, we as political parties or groups that were supported by the student movement, we did not win any of those elections, but we did get half of the mandates in local parliaments, which is huge. It's huge because he has national television, he has all of the media, he has all of the money in the world, he has all of the people who can beat all of us and scare all of us, and we still won 50% with social media, with students who were out on the streets doing door-to-door, who were talking to citizens. If we can do that, I really think we can do anything because there is more of us. He cannot, I don't know, maybe he can bring all of the people who supported Orban to beat us. I don't know, maybe something like that happens, but we will see. And when it comes to motivation, I mean, everything Tatjana said, I'm just a person I'm a middle child before anything. And justice is, trust me, justice is really important to me. I like things to be fair, and that is what leads me in life. And what we're living is not fair, because we look at you guys. I know that it's not perfect here, but it's better, and you are, not that far away. So if you can do it, we can do it. We just need a bit more time, I guess.
Okay, thank you, Davud. Let's
can
finish.
I just about the motivation?
Yeah,
All
please.
the time I'm trying to find some motivation in the streets of the Serbia, in that energy that we have in all protests there, in the communication with my friends, with my family, and in just that idea that some honest and young people want to change their country and stay there and live some normal life. That's it.
Thank you so much. Yes, please. Okay, thank you. Now we have 10 more minutes. 10 to 15 more minutes for your questions. So please, and yeah, if you want to be recorded, we can give you the mic. If you don't want to be recorded, just speak without the microphone. Yes, we have one hand here and one hand here for the beginning. Okay, and the third person, okay? Let's stop for now. So now we have 4 persons. Yeah. Okay. The 1, 2, 3, fourth row. Fourth row. The girl in the middle.
Thank you. Okay. So I have 2 questions. I followed back then, 2019, a bit the protest Jedan od 5 milijuna, and I wanted to ask if there are still some corporations, if you are still kind of have contact with those movements, which are quite recent. And the other question is if your list is also kind of cooperating with existing oppositional parties.
Okay, so for the first question, no. When the student movement came to be, we were very public about not cooperating with any civil society organization or the opposition. It's because those 2 political actors are very frowned upon in our society because of propaganda, of course. But we do not, and those movements like one of 5 million or Serbia Against Violence, they all just vanished because that is our president's main tool. It's patience, and things just disappear because people fight each other and stuff. So that's what we're not trying to do. So they do not really exist, like maybe some traces of them, but we do not cooperate with them. And all of those people are basically just in assemblies now. And when it comes to the student list, no. So we have nothing to do with the opposition. We have rules for our candidates that they needed to agree on if they want to be on our list. If we voted them out, they could not be a political actor previously, nor for the opposition or the government. And after the mandate of our government, they will not be able to be in politics for the next 8 years. Is that right? Yeah. I think so, yeah.
I just wanted to add that what you mentioned, jedan od 5 miliona, it's weird because at that time, everyone who had any political ambition or anyone who was against Vučić joined one of 5 miliona. One of 5 million. So today you can say for someone who is in the ruling party, he was one of 5 miliona, one of 5 millions. or for the opposition, or for the students, or, you know, it was very, nije homogeno, nego heterogenistic. So.
For that moment, one of 5 million, that doesn't exist anymore, but I know some people who are involved in our student protests. They just did some stuff in assembly or some other stuff.
Yeah, those are just like series of protests, and then because of a reason, and it's weird.
Every normal person from Serbia are involved in these protests. Also, that moment, 1 on 5 million.
Okay, now we have second row, first chair, and then second row, green hat.
You don't.
Okay, yeah, so first I'm going to say that I'm off the mic, so keep that in mind. I want to ask you to comment on claims that in front of student movement, Vladan Jokic will be a list leader and that Dan Bodiroga will be a future presidential candidate. Can you comment on that?
Well, actually, we still do not know exact names on the list, and we do not know that Vladan Jokic is going to be the leader of the list, even if he's going to be on the list and then the leader. So that stuff is not still, kako da kažem, gotovo, nije još uvek. We're not finished with the list. I mean, there are still vetoes. Is that how you're saying it? That need to be through. So the list is still going through the faculties. It has like 300 tapes which it goes through. So it's not finished yet. Vladan Jokic is the persona who went out a few days ago, and that is speculating like he's gonna be the leader, he's gonna be the prime minister, because he is the strong person in Serbia now. Why? We have 5 universities in Serbia, and he's the only rector who is actually with the students. In Novi Pazar now the change happened or something like that, but yeah. So I think people see hope in him because he is an academic person, he is a strong person, he's very smart, his interviews are really great, and I think that in Serbia people really see the leader in him right now. I personally do not think it's a good thing to have a leader after months and years of protesting and saying we do not have a leader. Of course, if you have politics, if you have the list, if you have the parliament, you have to have the names. And Dejan Bodiroga, I have no idea what's happening with that, especially not that he's going to be the president. We're not hoping for the presidential elections. We're just preparing now for the parliamentary ones. Okay, yes.
The presidential role in Serbia is irrelevant, so I don't know. I mean, anyone can be the president. I wouldn't care because I mean I would care, of course, but they just do not have the competencies that Vučić is now pretending to have or whatever he's doing. And when it comes to Jokic, the students are the ones who are making the program for the next government and the whole narrative. So everything that government will do is already written by us.
And also, I just want to say one thing. There is a lot of speculations about student lists and whose name is on it or whose is not, and should we trust the student list? People now have a feeling like we are asking for the support and not asking why and for whom. No. There will be a list. When he calls out the elections, a list of names will be out. And you have free will to say, yes, I'm going to vote for you, or no, I'm not going to vote for you, I don't like that name. And that's totally okay.
Thanks. Next question, please.
Hello, my name is Philip, and I wanted to ask, because we're now here sitting in Vienna and talking about the protests in Serbia, and I wanted to ask maybe what are good, or in this transnational context, what are good or what can we do here in Austria to support you guys in your situation? Yeah.
You can talk about us. You can tell journalists to come and interview us, because we need the international attention. We had it in the beginning for a bit, and then we lost it. Especially if the elections are going to be soon, we really need the media attention of everyone. We need observers for our elections, so international observers that will be another way of pressure, so that the election day goes as it's supposed to, in a democratic atmosphere. And you can donate through IT Blokada. So you can find this online, IT Blokada. They accept donations, and this is a hard one, so podržistudente.org. It means support students. They also accept donations, and then when we need something, they buy it for us, or yeah, it's all like legal. We need like receipts and stuff, so nothing is, you know. So yeah, IT Blokada and Podrži studente, and remember us from time to time.
One of the greatest things that happened in direct democracy is I have an idea. I think this would be good to do, to organize in zbors. Okay, do it. So everyone has great ideas, but no one gets to actually do something. If you know how to, if you know graphic design, tell me, I'll write your number down, and I have people who need graphic design in Serbia. So any technical knowledges you have, any idea you have, I know how to do this, maybe it's useful for someone, contact us. So,
also, if you want to translate articles from Blokada Info to German, we have translation to English. Students from Berkeley are actually translating articles for us. Yeah. But if you want to translate them to German, or to in any way help us, you know, inform the Austrian or German society,
I will add just one more thing. From my opinion, it's really important, and that's observing of the day of the elections. Like we need a lot of observers from European institutions, from NGO sector. Everyone should be in the Serbia in that day of election. We will see. You should come to Serbia to see what democracy is.
And you will drink very good rakia. Don't worry. Eat good cevapit also.
Okay, so now
I have a second question, maybe, real quick.
No, please,
No?
I cannot let you
Okay.
because we have two more people and then we need to finish. I apologize. Yeah, but yeah, we can talk after. So third row, the middle, yes, and then yes, and then we're done. Okay? Yeah, thank you.
Hello. So I wanted to ask: are there discussions about in the future about an institutionalization of direct democracy for tackling corruption?
Can we hear the last question also now? Is that fine for you? Yeah.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to add to you. There's also Blokada Beč, which is like protests in Vienna for the Serbia to support the Serbian protests here in Serbia. So yeah, it's just blokada.bec, Beč, which is for Vienna. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, now answers.
About the institutionalization. There has been words about it. We've voted about it. That would be great. I think I'm not maybe the one who's the best for it.
Give me that. Yeah, so we did. Okay. There was a blockade of the Faculty of Philosophy like 10 years ago, I think. I'm not quite sure. And that's when the students tried to institutionalize plenums. So plenum is not like a new thing to us, but they did not succeed. So they wanted it to be a part of like the law and everything. we also talked about it, and we had work groups that were working on it during the blockade, but we did not do anything. But now, in April, there should be elections for the student parliaments that are, shocker, also corrupt. Wow! So they are the, SNS, they have their people everywhere. They are holding on for their lives for student parliaments. Guys, this is crazy. But we are trying, so students from the blockades have organized, had made legal entities, student organizations that want to candidate themselves for student parliaments. And for example, on our faculty of philosophy, I am one of the candidates, and we do want, so we cannot change the statute, the way things work on the faculty, but we can, with our free will, organize, and we still have plenary sessions, by the way, each week we still have plenums and people come. So we can, say we are the student parliament, we want to hear you, come and tell us what you want us to do, because that's the point of student parliaments. They are student representatives that are communicating with the dean, with whoever. So yeah, it's very hard, and maybe one day there will be a change of the law of student organizing. I don't know, currently we are not thinking about that. We have a lot of things on our plate, but yeah, that is our plan as student organizations that are going into student parliaments, but we cannot do anything more legal.
I remember that we had idea to start with institutionalization with plenum under our faculty, like for student organization, and that's it. Not on other level. I mean, direct democracy, grassroots democracy, will work in some small community, and we can't implement that on some higher level. Like, we are not in the Greece, we are in the 21st century.
Get back to the beginning and the 1st of November, we still do not have anyone responsible for what happened at the railway station, so they will not let us institutionalize the plenums. So we are thinking about it, but at this point it's not possible.
Okay, thank you. Before we move to the more informal part, do you have some final remarks, something that I didn't ask you, which you find important at this moment?
I just want to repeat what I've said multiple times these few days that I'm here, that we're here. Young people have voice, and young people are maybe the most important part of the community because they know what they need, and they will always have someone who will listen to them. And even though sometimes they say it's different. So practice democracy. We were talking about it earlier. In your families, in your friend groups, practice it. Vote on things. If you cannot get to the agreement on something, call out the democracy rules so we can vote. I think that's very important. Talk to your surroundings, I mean the people that surround you. Talk about problems, that's very important, like private problems or problems in the society or in your country. Talk about it with your friend, then your friend will talk with her friend and it will spread. So also one of the most important things in the student movement in Serbia is literally mouth-to-mouth transmitting the information. So that's something we do not think about, and it's maybe the most important when you forget Instagram or national TVs.
Natalija?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, and some would say, that we are fighting against windmills, but I think that it's all worth it, and it's really tiring. And I don't know if I said it here or before. I feel like I've lived like 7 years in like a year and a half, and this movement changed all of us, and we became much more mature and different, just different, conscious. But even with everything that I have lived through, and I don't know if I scared you with the repression, yeah, it is kind of scary, but I would always advise you to never stay silent to anything that's bothering you, that can be changed through the government that is at fault, if it's the fault of those in the government, I just want to encourage you to fight for your rights, to fight for a society that is worth living in. And I really don't want you to have that stance like, oh, but you know, I have bread on the table and I have a roof over my head. It's okay. I can go out with my friends once a week. It's okay. It's not that bad. It's not the war, you know, it's not the famine. It's not, we don't have a pandemic. You always have the right to fight for what is right and for what you deserve as a human being living on this earth wherever you are. So I just want to encourage you to, as a middle child, always fight for what you think you deserve.
Okay, thank you.
I will add just one more thing
Okay.
in my way till the end. So maybe the future is not about one final political moment or one big change. It's more about a slow process of building trust, reducing fear, and creating a system where people actually feel that their voice matters. And if I connect that back to everything before, maybe this is exactly where the student movement becomes important. It's not as a reaction to current problems, but as a part of longer effort to build a more open, more democratic, and more inclusive society.
Thank you. Okay, once again, my apologies to the audience, but if you have any urgent questions, we can continue in a more informal way, and thank you all for coming today.